Hello and welcome to the Cameron and Tia Show. Today we are coming at you with a video about gear. Now pause. This is a part 2. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, go to the end card up here, click on it, you can watch part 1 because this is going to be an even more deep dive. Then come back and watch this. So we've got our resident gear expert, my hubby, Cameron, who's going to be answering all of your questions that you've submitted. We are so excited for this. So let's jump right into it.
Hi, I'm Cameron.
And I'm Tia.
We're so excited that you're here.
Let's jump right into the video. Okay, question number 1. Do you need a full frame camera in order to be a professional, and why?
Okay. Short answer, no. Shooting crop sensor does come with a few limitations, but it is absolutely not necessary to be full frame to be a professional. Actually, when we first started, we were shooting crop sensor, obviously mainly sports, but still sold those prints. They turned out great. Didn't need it. But one thing to be aware on a crop sensor especially is last video we talked a lot about lenses that are important for shooting the day. On a crop sensor, there's a magnification effect to that. So like switching to full frame looks different through those same exact lenses. For Canon, that's a 1.6 times change. So like the 135 I was shooting on to start was the equivalent of about like a 216, I think. So it's a huge change. Something just to be aware of. Low light performance is going to be different also in terms of full frame and just like the general sensor quality. But it is absolutely not necessary to shoot full frame to be professional.
So just so we understand, low light performance is going to be worse with a crop sensor.
Yes.
So you're going to get an upgrade when you move on to a full frame camera for low light performance.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, number 2. What are your thoughts on Canon versus Nikon versus Sony, the age-old debate?
Okay, big question. I'll kind of cheat and answer the reason we went for Canon. I think all three great brands have great products. Some, I think, are better than others depending on what you're doing, what type of camera you're shooting with, whether you're doing video versus stills, stuff like that. The reason we jumped into Canon initially was because of the glass. All of the lenses that Canon offered that just have incredible quality. For us, lenses, and I guess for most photographers, lenses are a huge investment, but they're also an investment that holds its value long term. Camera body, obviously you're going to invest. 5 years down the road, you might be looking at an upgrade, and the value of that body kind of dropped off a cliff in a lot of cases. Lenses, that 135 we've been talking a lot about, I bought almost 10 years ago now, and it's still hovering at the same value because we've taken great care of it, everything like that. So Canon glass was a huge factor in that decision for us. Now going mirrorless, super excited about the new Canons in that department and all the technology that Canon's pouring into that. As far as like Nikon and Sony, also both great. Sony is loved by a lot of videographers, especially because of like its in-body stabilization. I don't know.
That's the answer. Hot take from Cam. Okay, speaking about lenses, what's the tea on Canon versus Sigma versus Tamron, all the things?
Okay. So kind of depends on budget and what you're using it for most, I think. As like an overarching general statement, I feel like if you're looking at like Canon L series versus Sigma and just like guessing at which one's the better quality, it's most likely going to be the Canon L series. I mean, Sigma's made a huge jump up in their image quality with the art lens series. So that gap has definitely shrunk. And then looking at prices for those two, you have the Canon L series, which is pricey. It's an investment, obviously great quality. The L series means that it's weatherproof, dustproof, but pricey. Sigma's looking at maybe like half of that cost for, in some cases, image quality that's comparable. I think in some cases actually maybe slightly better. So I guess it kind of depends on the specific lenses. It depends on your use for those lenses, and then also your budget. In our case, some of the Sigma Arts made sense. We could save that $900 for the lens. And
get really comparable results.
Get comparable quality. In our case, for the 85, in my research and reviews, I found a lot of times that Sigma Art 85 was comparing at or better than the Canon EF 85 1.2. Obviously the 85 1.4 wasn't out yet, but just comparing those two lenses, it made sense for us to save the money, invest in Sigma, and potentially even get better quality from that.
So some of this is weighing the pros and cons between budget-wise and then where you can research and find the quality that's comparable.
For sure.
And so that's why our lens kit is kind of a mixture of some Sigma, some mixture of some L series, we were weighing those pros and cons in there. Okay, tell us about some smaller investment items that you might want to consider for your gear kit, like battery grips, UV filters, cards.
Cool. Okay, so I'll start with UV filters. Great investment in the sense that it's a small investment and can do a lot to protect your gear, both obviously from UV radiation, but also in little ways. A little fun story, that 135 we keep coming back to, that first huge investment I made shooting for Dan's team. I had that resting on bleachers one time during a practice after shooting with it. Tia came over and bumped the camera off the edge. Camera fell into the ground, and all you could hear is just the shattering of glass. And obviously, I'm terrified. I'm a poor high school student. This my biggest investment of my life. I'm hearing shattered on the ground. Luckily, what had happened is I had that UV filter on. It felt the UV filter was what had shattered, and all of the glass of the lens itself had been protected because of that. So, lucky break, but...
Fun fact also, we were not dating at that time, so I was straight scared. There was not going to be mercy.
Yeah, but so I mean, those are great little tiny investments that can actually go a long way towards protecting your gear for the long term in a couple different ways. As far as batteries, easy investment that pays off big time for like peace of mind and for shooting and like your schedule and
for having tons and tons of backups.
Yes, it's just, I mean, batteries can get like pricey as you're like adding them up, but just the safety of knowing I have 3 charged batteries in my back pocket, in my bag, wherever, that if I'm on a wedding day shooting sunset portraits, also my battery dies, I don't have to be like, oh shoot, let's stop, I need to run inside to get the battery that's on the charger right now, come back out, continue shooting.
We have some fun stories about this in our video. It's 12 steps to preparing for your first wedding that I'm going to just pop up in the end card up here so that you can check that out.
Yeah. Also for batteries, depending on what you're shooting, how you like to shoot, battery grips can be a good investment, both because it adds a second battery into your grip, so the battery itself lasts, or the camera lasts a lot longer on that charge. Also, it adds some buttons so you can flip to portrait orientation. It adds like the back button focus, shutter for portrait orientation.
So cool option.
We don't personally use it, but some people love it and swear by it, and it's super important to them and the way they shoot. That's an option. Last thing was
cards.
Memory cards. Yes. I definitely recommend investing in good memory cards. A lot of times it depends on the camera body you're shooting on and how you're recording, whether you're shooting in RAW, JPEG, both, or in our case we write RAWs to both cards in our camera.
To a CF and an SD.
In our case it's a CF and an SD card. Obviously it depends on your body, and even within Canon, depends on your body. But there's a site, I can't remember the name of it now, but we will link it down in the description. Something about memory card speed tests, something like that, that actually compares. They did read and write tests with different cards, SD, CF, CF Express, CFast, all of those inside specific camera bodies, and tested their performance, their read-write, how many shots you could take in a row. That's a great resource just to know what is the fastest card for my device, and then look and see the price of that. See if that makes sense for your budget. If not, go down the list and see what performs well for your price point.
Love it. That's awesome. Okay, probably the most asked question. How do you budget for new pieces of gear?
Okay, that's kind of hard. Definitely the biggest thing that we've noticed is setting aside and like making clear your priorities for your business, for your lenses, for your bodies, whatever that next thing is and where you're going. I don't have like an easy answer to this because it kind of depends. If you're making the jump, you're exploring a new type of clientele, you're jumping from seniors to weddings, something like that, and you're like, in order to do this and feel good and feel confident, I need to jump to full frame. In that case, work on that. Set aside money, set aside like part of every shoot to go towards that. I think a safe investment all the time is lenses. We talked about this a little earlier. They just hold their value so well. So, I mean, sometimes it makes sense to buy a cheaper lens to start out. Buying like that 40mm pancake lens, super cheap, produces some okay results, but, I mean, great value for the money. Sometimes it might make sense to jump up to a higher quality 50, let's say. Invest early, because when you have that, it produces stunning images. As you're upgrading bodies down the road, you get to keep that lens, and it holds its value long term. Yeah.
Something that I see from the outside with living and working with a resident gear expert is that Cam is very in tune to like Canon rumors per se. That he knows what's coming generally, and we're able to look ahead, not only just like what's coming camera bodies, but also like what we might need in the long-term future. And so we always have in the back of our minds, we could look at each other and know, okay, this is going to be our next purchase. Let's put a little away to that, so that it's always future driven.
Right. And so like in that case too, we're seeing rumors of this new R series that's coming out. Obviously we bought the Canon R right away. Love it. Love mirrorless. And we saw, okay, there are professional R series coming soon. There's a new mount, this RF mount that has some incredible lenses, super pricey but incredible lenses. We started talking to ourselves. We knew we wanted another 85. We considered buying it this past year. But then came to the decision that let's actually wait. Let's see what 85 they come out with in the RF mount. So we don't need an adapter that can work natively with our new potential bodies. And in that case, that decision worked out well for us because the new 85 is incredible. Probably where we're going to end up going. But so we've just been like budgeting for that 85 and waiting to see which option made sense for us.
And so like with the R5, Cam had this inkling from Canon rumors and stuff that it had the potential. Even we knew that almost 8 months ago. And so we were able to just generally know in the back of our minds, okay, we're saving for this. Okay, that's probably going to be our body upgrade. Whereas some people found out about it a month before it was about to ship out and then have to make a decision right then and there. Oh, if I want to get this right away, I'm spending this in a month. That's an extreme case. Obviously, that's an extreme situation. But the more time that you have to be able to budget things, obviously that's going to work in your favor. So look ahead, plan for the future as much as possible. Okay, that was a serious question. So we're going to end on something fun. What's a purchase that you've made that you regret?
Ooh, okay. Two things pop into my mind. The first is the first 50 that I bought. Was a Sigma. It was not the Art series. I was debating between the Canon L series, the Canon just regular EF 50, and the Sigma 50. I went with the Sigma because between those three, the Sigma kind of fell in the middle. The quality didn't last for what I was expecting. So I regret it in that sense. Still have that lens, just as an extra 50 backup, but it was quickly replaced by the Sigma Art. Had I just invested long-term in the Canon 50, we'd still be using it today. The other thing, I am big on jumping into new technology and like kind of taking that risk, being on the cutting edge, sometimes the bleeding edge. Just something I'm passionate about, I love. So when new flashes started to come out, you've seen a lot with like the round heads, stuff like that. I was very excited about that. I thought this could be a cool new thing for us, work well. Sometimes we just don't love the results speedlights are giving us. It kind of just a different vibe than our other work.
The rest of our work.
Yeah. So we thought this could be a cool thing from other reviews. It feels a lot like softer and like more fitting into our style. We have to shoot a lot differently with those those speedlights than we do with our current speedlights, and that system that we had to implement with the new speedlights didn't work well for us. So still have those. Those are our backups. Those are for off-camera situations, like on stands in the corner, stuff like that. But as a replacement to our speedlights, an investment that didn't pan out.
Didn't pan out the way you wanted.
Yes.
I love it. Yay! Okay, this is so fun. I love having Cameron in our videos, and I hope you did too. If you like this, be sure to give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos with Cameron, comment down below. Ask him, resident editing gear expert, what you want to know. But otherwise, we hope you have a wonderful week. Until next time, bye!